Magdalena Zuk, a name etched in tragedy, a life shrouded in mystery. She was a young woman from Poland, full of life, with dreams like anyone else. She worked as a beautician, her touch bringing smiles to the faces of her clients. Her world was filled with the ordinary rhythms of life: work, friends, family. Then, the promise of a vacation emerged, a chance to escape, to explore. She chose Egypt, its ancient wonders beckoning, a land steeped in history and allure. Little did she know, this trip, meant to be a joyous escape, would become a terrifying descent into a nightmare. This wasn't a storybook adventure. This was about to become a real-life mystery, a fight for her life, and a search for answers that continues to this day. It's a story that chills you to the bone, a story that forces you to confront the darkness that can sometimes lurk beneath the surface of paradise. This is the story of Magdalena Zuk. The nightmare began subtly, a slow creep of unease that soon morphed into something far more sinister. Magdalena's behavior became increasingly erratic, a stark contrast to her usually bubbly and outgoing personality. Her phone calls home were filled with a terror that sent chills down the spines of her family. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. Her boyfriend at the time, concerned about her well-being, decided to intervene. He contacted the Polish embassy in Egypt, his worry escalating with every passing moment. He knew he had to get to her, to bring her back from this terrifying precipice. He booked a flight, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and desperation. He was determined to rescue her from whatever nightmare she had become trapped in. Her boyfriend's arrival in Egypt did little to quell the growing terror. He found Magdalena in a state of utter despair, her eyes wide with fear, her words a jumbled mess of paranoia and terror. He tried to reason with her, to soothe her, but the darkness had taken hold, its grip too strong to break. He contacted her family, their voices filled with a shared terror, their words carrying the weight of a growing dread. They urged him to bring her home, to get her to safety, to do whatever it took to extract her from the nightmare that had enveloped her. But something, or someone, seemed to be preventing their efforts. Obstacles arose at every turn, delaying tactics, and bureaucratic roadblocks hindering their every move. It was as if an invisible hand was working against them, determined to keep Magdalena trapped in its clutches. And then, the news they had all been dreading. Magdalena Zuk was dead. The vibrant young woman full of life and dreams was gone. Her story ending not on the sun-kissed beaches of Egypt, but in a cold, sterile hospital room. The details surrounding her death were shrouded in mystery, the circumstances as murky as the waters of the Nile. Her family, grappling with unimaginable grief, was left with more questions than answers. What had happened to their beloved daughter, their sister, their friend? How could a dream vacation turn into such a horrific nightmare? The silence from the Egyptian authorities was deafening, their lack of transparency only fueling the flames of suspicion. Whispers of foul play, theories and speculations. Theories swirled around Magdalena's death, each more unsettling than the last. Some whispered of a drug-fueled psychosis, of a young woman losing her grip on reality in a foreign land. Others pointed to the possibility of foul play, of a sinister plot, of a life extinguished by the hands of another. The lack of clear answers from the Egyptian authorities only fueled the speculation, the silence amplifying the fear. The internet became a breeding ground for theories, some plausible, others bordering on the absurd. Social media platforms buzzed with speculation, amateur sleuths dissecting every detail of her final days, searching for clues, for answers, for anything that could shed light on the darkness that had consumed her. But the truth, elusive and stubborn, remained hidden, buried beneath layers of speculation and misinformation. The autopsy report, a glimmer of clarity amidst the shadows. The autopsy report, when it finally arrived, did little to quell the storm of speculation. It ruled her death a suicide, citing the cause as injuries consistent with a fall from a height. But for many, the report raised more questions than it answered. The inconsistencies, the lack of conclusive evidence, and the lingering doubts about the thoroughness of the investigation cast a long shadow over the official findings. The report stated that there were no signs of a struggle, no indication that Magdalena had been physically forced to jump. But her family and friends remained unconvinced. They clung to the memory of her terrified phone calls, her pleas for help, her desperate attempts to escape whatever nightmare had ensnared her. Could a young woman so full of life, so loved by her family and friends, really choose to end her own life so abruptly and violently? In the wake of Magdalena's death, her family was left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives. The grief was raw, all-consuming, a heavy weight that threatened to crush them beneath its immensity. They were haunted by the unanswered questions, the lack of closure, the gnawing suspicion that something sinister had befallen their beloved daughter. Determined to find the truth, they embarked on a tireless campaign for justice. They refused to accept the official version of events, their intuition telling them that there was more to the story than met the eye. They hired lawyers, contacted journalists, and reached out to anyone who might be able to help them navigate the labyrinthine world of international law and diplomacy. Despite the passage of time, the case of Magdalena Zuk remains an unsolved mystery. The official narrative, riddled with inconsistencies and lacking in crucial details, failed to satisfy those who believed that there was more to the story than met the eye. The questions lingered, unanswered, echoing in the hearts of those who mourned her loss. What really transpired in those final days of Magdalena's life? What drove her to such a state of terror and despair? Was she the victim of a tragic accident, a drug-induced psychosis, or something far more sinister? The lack of definitive answers only fueled the speculation, the silence from the Egyptian authorities speaking volumes. Magdalena Zuk's story, tragic and haunting, resonated far beyond the borders of Poland and Egypt. It became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers that can lurk beneath the surface of paradise, of the fragility of life, and the importance of vigilance, even in the most seemingly idyllic of settings. Her case sparked a global conversation about the safety of tourists, particularly women traveling alone. It highlighted the importance of researching destinations, being aware of potential risks, and taking precautions to ensure one's safety. It also underscored the need for greater accountability from authorities in tourist destinations, the importance of transparency, and the need for swift and thorough investigations when crimes occur. Years may have passed since that fateful trip to Egypt, but the memory of Magdalena Zuk lives on. Her story, though shrouded in mystery and shadowed by tragedy, continues to capture the public imagination, a reminder of the enduring power of hope, the unwavering pursuit of justice, and the importance of never forgetting those who have been lost. Her family and friends, though forever marked by her loss, find solace in keeping her memory alive. They share her story not just as a tale of tragedy, but as a testament to the indomitable spirit of a young woman who loved life, who embraced adventure, and who, even in her final moments, fought to escape the darkness that had enveloped her. The case of Magdalena Zuk may remain unsolved, but the search for truth continues. Her family, fueled by an unwavering belief that justice will prevail, refuses to let her story fade into obscurity. They continue to press for answers, to demand accountability, and to keep her memory alive in the hope that one day the truth will emerge from the shadows, bringing with it a sense of closure and a measure of peace. Magdalena Zuk's story is a stark reminder that even in the most beautiful of places, darkness can lurk and tragedy can strike. It is a call for vigilance, for awareness, and for a world where justice prevails, and the memory of those lost to violence and injustice is honored by the relentless pursuit of truth. It is a story that will continue to be told, a mystery that will continue to captivate, and a reminder that even in death, the human spirit can inspire, challenge, and ultimately triumph over adversity.